Reckoner. Its name derived from scripture. The Reckoner is heralded in the annals of the Protectorate history as the nation's first purely purposed Midnight Warjack, a symbol of the Holy Crusade and an icon of the lawgiver. The Codex states, "He who is grand reclement is, too, the Reckoner of man, burning away the sins of the faithful with but the merest glance." Designed with this image in mind, and said to be an agent of menoth in the end times, the Reckoner is a titan of steam and steel. From within the haze of incense that issues from its brutal mace, the Reckoner lights the way for the faithful with the blinding fury of the Condemner cannon as it charges across the battlefield, smashing through anything that stands in its way. The Reckoner was once constructed in secret, a triumph of the soul Midnight will and dedication. A significant addition to the cache of weapons stockpiled while the Protectorate remained under the thumb of Signar. The Reckoner played a crucial role in the Caspia Soul War and helped pave the way for the faithful to cast off the chains of the non-believers. And yes, a Reckoner, a large beat stick, and a Condemner cannon, which is still just as terrifying. It might not light things up on fire as much as the rest of the flamethrowers they like to put on their warjacks, but definitely a very useful tool. Let's get into some of its stats here. Its initial service date is 604 AR. Its height is 12 foot even. Its weight is 8.6 tons. Its fuel load is 710 pounds. General use, 5.5 hours. Combat use, 60 minutes. And its armaments include a Condemner and a Consecrator. And its cortex is manufactured by the vassals of Menoth because, as we discussed previously, their cortexes are now homemade instead of them having to get black market or Black River substitutes. But let's get into its full stat line and see what its Mark 3 to Mark 4 changes are. Alright, it looks like we were looking at a Speed 5, a Mat 7, so its Mat actually went up. Rat 6, so its Rat actually went up. A defense of 10, armor 19, and this guy does have the trample, slam, and headbutt special attacks, and he also has immunity to fire. So that is pretty fantastic, and he has dual attack, which means you can use his melee and ranged weapons in the same activation now, which is phenomenal. And let's check out his abilities. He has Ashen Veil. This model has concealment, and living models without resistance to fire suffer a -2 to their attack rolls while within 2 inches of this model. So as we've discussed before, that is a very useful ability because he always has concealment, so he gets a +2 to his defense from ranged attacks. And if you get him around a bunch of other models that you want him to protect, he gives them an overall basically +2 to their defense while within 2 of this model. And something I missed when I was reading over the actual stuff is I'm so used to them putting the abilities on the weapons now, I did not see they had the abilities written in the description below in Mark 3. But as we've all discussed, Mark 4 is a lot of updates there. So let's go over his weapons and see what he still has. We are going to start with his Condemner, which is his long-range cannon that he has. It is a Rat 6, a POW 12, rate of fire 1, 0 AoE, and POW 14, so this is a direct hit type of weapon. He has the Pistolier weapon, which allows him to shoot into something he's in melee with. It is fire damage, and it does do a fire critical effect. So if you roll a double on anywhere, the model is caught on fire, and he suffers from the fire continuous effect. The other ability that he still has on this weapon is Flare. On a direct hit, models hit by this weapon lose stealth and suffer -2 to their defense for 1 turn. So it's a lowering defense tool. So if he shoots something he's in melee with, he can lower its defense and hit it a little bit easier with his melee weapon, which is saying something, since Mat 7's great, but if you're going up against something just a little bit harder to hit, always useful to lower their defense. And the ability to remove stealth with anything is very useful as well. And then his big old mace he has, the Consecrator, is a Mat 7, a range 2, POW 17, also has critical fire effect. And it's not a fire weapon, but it definitely does the critical fire effect because it is a guy that I guess basically lit on fire from the inside. And beatsticks are beatsticks at a mat 17. It's still a very, very dangerous. Yeah, so this guy is a pretty solid both melee and ranged combatant as well, with a range 12 and a reach of 2 on his, ranged and melee weapons consecutively. Yeah, makes him very dangerous. I haven't actually had to go up against these guys. I know he did come out during the Caspia Soul War to Signarn's surprise. I imagine they were probably pretty upset that the Protectorate of Menoth that did have actual combative warjacks and not just warjacks or laborjacks as they like to claim. But yeah, and he has heavy armor. 19 is a pretty standard standard armor. At least anything up to the Cadoran, throw more metal on it and it'll be protected. Type of build. So this guy could take a beating and he can dish out just the same. So, but